The great crystal chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so quiet. For the first time in thousands of years, the representatives of 12 advanced alien civilizations sat in stunned silence, trying to understand how completely their world had changed in a single day. Commander Lee Taemin remained standing at the center of the chamber, no longer the representative of a primitive species seeking acceptance. Now he was the ambassador of a civilization that had just proven itself superior to every member of the council combined. Elder Zentaka was the first to break the silence. His ancient voice carried the weight of 7,000 years of galactic history. In all my time serving the council, I have witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the discovery of new technologies, and the first contact with dozens of species. But never have I seen anything like what humanity has accomplished. The old alien's words hung in the air like a judgment on the entire galactic order. For millennia, the council had operated under the assumption that they were the pinnacle of civilization, that no species could surprise them or challenge their dominance. Humanity had shattered that assumption completely. Belthar's crystal body flickered between colors of anger, fear, and grudging respect. "How?" he asked simply. "How did you hide such an advanced civilization from our sensors? How did you infiltrate our most secure installations? How did you build ships and technology that surpass our own, Doctor?" Yoon Hee-jin appeared on the holographic display from Phoenix Station. "The answer is simple," she said calmly. "You underestimated us because you wanted to underestimate us. Your entire system depends on maintaining technological superiority over newer species. You couldn't imagine that a primitive species might actually be more advanced than you. Your sensors couldn't detect our cloaking technology because it operates on principles you never developed," added Dr. Shin Woo-jin. "You focused on brute force applications of known physics while we explored elegant solutions to fundamental problems." President Choi stepped forward on the display. "But the real secret was patience. While your species grew comfortable with your dominance, humanity remained hungry and adaptive. We knew we were being watched, so we gave you exactly what you expected to see while building our true strength in secret." Thexara swam nervously in her water tank. "What about our military advantages? Our fleets are vast, our weapons are proven in countless conflicts. Surely you cannot match our combined military might." General Kwon Hyun-soo's image replaced the others on the display. Behind him, tactical screens showed the deployment of human forces throughout the galaxy. "Your fleets are indeed large," he acknowledged, "but size without efficiency is a weakness, not a strength. Our ships are faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with technology your vessels cannot counter. More importantly," he continued, "your military doctrine is based on fighting opponents who use similar technology and tactics. You have no experience dealing with an enemy who thinks differently, fights differently, and uses capabilities you didn't know existed." The spider-like alien clicked nervously. "You speak of military superiority, but what about resources? The Council controls the richest star systems in the galaxy. We have established trade networks and supply chains that have operated for thousands of years." Captain Cho Minho appeared on the display, standing in front of windows that showed the vast industrial complexes of Phoenix Station. "Resources are only valuable if you can extract and use them efficiently," he said. "Our matter compilers can create anything we need from basic atomic materials. Our stellar engineering projects have given us access to more energy than your entire civilization consumes. As for trade networks," he continued with a slight smile, "we have been quietly establishing relationships with species you dismissed as unworthy of attention. They have resources and capabilities you never bothered to discover because you were too busy looking down on them." This revelation sent new waves of shock through the chamber. Not only had humanity surpassed the Council technologically and militarily, they had been building alternative economic and political relationships throughout the galaxy. Elder Zentaka leaned forward in his chair. "These other species you mention, how many have you contacted?" Dr. Song Ye-jin reappeared on the display with data charts floating around her. 17 species that your council evaluated and rejected as primitive. 12 additional species that your scouts discovered but never bothered to contact because they seemed too backward to be useful. 29 civilizations that have been watching your council from the outside, wondering why they were ignored or dismissed, she continued. All of them very interested in an alternative to your current system. The implications were staggering. The Galactic Council had always assumed that rejected species would remain primitive and isolated. The idea that they might organize themselves into a competing alliance had never been seriously considered. "What do they offer this new alliance of yours?" asked the tree-like delegate, its voice rustling with concern. "What they have always offered," President Choi replied. "Unique perspectives, innovative solutions, and capabilities that complement our own. The difference is that we listen to them instead of dismissing them as inferior." Captain Han Seok-jin appeared briefly to add, "Some of these primitive species have developed remarkable biotechnology. Others have mastered energy manipulation in ways that complement our own methods. One species has achieved a form of consciousness transfer that your council never imagined possible. When you assume superiority, you stop learning," Dr. Song observed. "When you stop learning, you stop growing. Humanity never made that mistake." Velthar's crystal body had dimmed to a pale blue, the color of deep thought and reluctant acceptance. "So what happens now?" he asked. "You have proven your superiority in every meaningful way. You could conquer our territories, dismantle our institutions, and rebuild the galaxy according to your preferences. Why offer us partnership instead of simply taking what you want?" Commander Taemin answered from his position in the chamber. "Because conquest would make us exactly what we spent 80 years proving we were better than. Humanity didn't develop this technology and build this civilization to become galactic tyrants. We did it to ensure that we would never be victims of tyranny. The current system is broken," President Choi added from Phoenix Station. "It wastes resources, suppresses innovation, and creates resentment throughout the galaxy. But the solution is not to replace one dominant species with another. The solution is to build something entirely new." Dr. Song activated a new display showing the proposed structure of the reformed Galactic Alliance. Equal representation based on contribution rather than age or military power, shared technology development instead of hoarding advantages, mutual defense agreements that protect all members instead of just the strongest. A system where species are judged by their potential and character rather than their current technology level, she continued. Where advancement is measured by wisdom and cooperation rather than conquest and exploitation. Elder Zentaka studied the proposal carefully. As the oldest member of the council, he had seen the flaws in their system develop over millennia. "This new alliance you propose, it would end the privileges that council species have enjoyed for thousands of years." "Yes," President Choi said simply. "True equality requires that everyone give up unfair advantages." "And what if some species refuse to accept this new order?" asked Thexara. General Kwan's tactical display updated to show human military positions throughout the galaxy. "Then they will find themselves increasingly isolated as other species join the new alliance. We are not forcing anyone to participate, but we are offering a better alternative to your current system." "The old order is ending regardless," Captain Cho added. "The question is whether it ends peacefully through negotiation or violently through conflict. We strongly prefer peace, but we are prepared for either outcome." The chamber fell silent again as the alien delegates absorbed the full scope of their situation. They could accept the new order and maintain their place as important members of a reformed galactic community, or they could resist and risk losing everything they had built over millennia. One by one, the species began to indicate their acceptance. The vote was not unanimous. Several delegates abstained, and 2 voted against the proposal, but a clear majority agreed to the new charter. "The transition will not be immediate," President Choi announced. "We understand that changing a system that has operated for thousands of years will take time and careful planning, but the direction is now clear. Humanity will share our advanced technologies with all Alliance members," Dr. Shin added. "We will provide assistance with infrastructure development, resource management, and defense coordination. But in return, we expect genuine cooperation and respect for the new principles." As the session formally ended, Elder Zentaka approached Commander Taemin. "You have accomplished something remarkable," the old alien said quietly. Not just the technological achievements or the strategic success, but the wisdom to use power responsibly. Perhaps this new alliance will be better than what we built. Taemin nodded respectfully. Humanity hopes so. We believe that intelligence and creativity are more valuable than dominance and control. Time will tell if we are. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called with great urgency. Commander Lee Taemin had sent a message claiming that Earth had made a breakthrough discovery that would change everything. The alien representatives gathered, in their crystal chamber, curious but not particularly excited. They expected another amusing display of primitive human achievement. Velthar settled into his position with barely hidden amusement. "So," he announced to the assembly, "our human friend claims his species has made an important discovery. Perhaps they have finally learned to build a proper fusion reactor?" Laughter rippled through the chamber. The jellyfish-like delegate floated, higher in its gas bubble. "Maybe they have developed faster-than-light radio signals," it suggested mockingly. "Or perhaps they have built a second moon base," added the spider-like representative, clicking its approval of its own joke. More laughter filled the room. After decades of watching humanity struggle with basic space technology, the aliens found it hard to imagine what kind of breakthrough these primitives might have achieved. Thexara swam to the front of her water tank. "Let us be fair," she said, though her tone was condescending rather than supportive. "Human progress should be encouraged even if it seems small to us. Every species must start somewhere." Commander Taemin stood quietly through all the mockery, his face calm and professional. Dr. Park So-young sat beside him, taking notes as always. To the aliens, they looked like representatives of a backward world, hoping to impress their superiors. "Thank you for gathering on such short notice," Taemin said formally. "Humanity has indeed made a significant breakthrough, and we believe it qualifies us for immediate consideration for Galactic Council membership." The laughter that erupted was so loud that the crystal walls rang like bells. Several aliens nearly fell from their platforms in amusement. The tree-like delegate made sounds like a forest in a windstorm, which was its way of expressing extreme hilarity. "Membership?" Velthar gasped between crystal chimes of laughter. "You cannot be serious. Your species has barely mastered chemical propulsion, and you want to join the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy? You have not even colonized your own solar system properly." The spider alien clicked. "Your largest off-world population is maybe 10,000 individuals living in simple habitats." Thexara tried to be diplomatic even while laughing. "My dear human friend, membership in the Council requires technological and social achievements that your species is still centuries away from accomplishing. Perhaps we can discuss this again in 50 years? Taemin remained perfectly calm. "I understand your skepticism," he said, "but I think you should see the evidence before making your final decision." He activated his personal holographic display. "I would like you to meet President Choi Min-jung of the Phoenix Federation." The chamber fell silent as a three-dimensional image appeared above the assembly. But this was not the primitive leader the aliens expected to see. President Choi stood on what was clearly the command deck of an advanced starship with technology visible behind her that looked more sophisticated than anything in the Galactic Council's fleets. "Greetings, honored delegates of the Galactic Council," President Choi said with calm authority. "I am speaking to you from Phoenix Station, the capital of humanity's true space civilization." The aliens stared in stunned silence. Through the massive windows behind President Choi, they could see something impossible. A vast space city with spinning habitats, industrial complexes, and thousands of ships moving in organized patterns. "This is a trick," Velthar said, but his crystal body had turned pale with shock. "Some kind of sophisticated holographic deception." "I assure you it is not," President Choi replied. "For the past 80 years, humanity has been developing our actual space civilization while maintaining the appearance of primitive development. You have been observing Earth, which represents only a small fraction of human presence in the galaxy." Captain Han Seok-jin appeared beside President Choi on the display. "Phoenix Defense Fleet, Prepare for decloak operation. Let our new friends see what we have really been building. The space around the council chamber suddenly filled with ships. Hundreds of sleek human vessels appeared as if materializing from empty vacuum. They had been there all along, hidden by cloaking technology that the aliens didn't even know was possible. Each ship was larger and more advanced than anything in the alien fleets, moving with precision that demonstrated complete mastery of space warfare. The Galactic Council chamber erupted in chaos. Aliens shouted in languages of panic and disbelief. Warning systems activated throughout the station as sensors detected the massive human fleet that had somehow appeared without being noticed. "Impossible," whispered the tree-like delegate, its voice like wind through dead leaves. "Our sensors would have detected any large-scale deployment. Our early warning systems cover this entire region." Dr. Song Ye-jin appeared on the display next to President Choi. "Your sensors detected exactly what we wanted them to detect," she explained calmly. "For 8 decades, humanity has been studying your civilizations. We know your technologies, your capabilities, your strengths, and your weaknesses. You have been inside our most secure installations," she continued. "Your military databases have been copied. Your communication networks have been monitored. Your political discussions have been recorded. We have detailed intelligence about every aspect of your civilizations." Velthar's crystal body flashed through colors of rage and fear. "The refugees," he said suddenly. "The human refugees we rescued. They were spies." "Captain Ryu Dong-hyun and his team send their regards," Dr. Song replied with a slight smile. They were particularly impressed with Outpost Zethkovar. Such a well-designed facility, though it does have some interesting vulnerabilities in its power distribution systems. The implications hit the aliens like a physical blow. Not only had humanity developed advanced technology in secret, they had been actively infiltrating alien civilization for decades. Every act of kindness, every rescue mission, every educational exchange had been an opportunity for human intelligence gathering. Elder Zentaka, the oldest member of the council, slowly rose from his position. In 7,000 years of galactic politics, he had never seen anything like this. "What do you want?" he asked quietly. "The real question," President Choi replied, "is what the council wants. For millennia, you have maintained a system where the oldest and most powerful species control the galaxy, while newer members provide resources and labor. You have rejected first contact with species you considered primitive, not because they lacked the capability to contribute, but because you wanted to maintain your dominance." General Kwon Hyun-soo appeared on the display, showing tactical readouts of human forces throughout the galaxy. "We have ships positioned near every major council installation. We have operatives embedded in your governments. We have the capability to disrupt your trade networks, disable your communications, and neutralize your military forces simultaneously. But we do not seek conquest," President Choi said firmly. "We seek true partnership, not the client-state relationship you offer to new species, but genuine equality based on mutual respect." Dr. Song activated a new display showing a document. "We propose a reformed galactic alliance. No more primitive species evaluations. No more resource extraction from developing worlds. No more technological gatekeeping to maintain artificial hierarchies. Equal representation, shared knowledge, mutual defense." "And if we refuse?" asked Thexara, her voice barely a whisper. Captain Han's tactical display updated to show the full scope of human capabilities. "Then humanity will form our own alliance. We have already made contact with 17 species that your council dismissed as primitive. They are not as helpless as you assumed, and they are very interested in alternatives to your current system." The chamber fell silent as the aliens absorbed what they were hearing. Not only had humanity surpassed them technologically, they had been building a competing power base among the species the council had ignored or rejected. Elder Zentaka was the first to speak. "In all my years, I have never seen such patience and strategic thinking. To maintain such a deception for so long, to build such capabilities in secret, to position yourselves so perfectly before revealing your true strength. It is unprecedented. The age of council supremacy is ending," President Choi said matter-of-factly. "The question is whether it ends with evolution or revolution. We prefer evolution, but we are prepared for either outcome." One by one, the alien delegates began to realize their position. They could accept humanity's terms and adapt to a new galactic order, or they could fight and likely lose everything they had built over millennia. Velthar, his crystal body now dim with defeat, was the first to speak. What guarantees do we have that humanity will honor this new alliance? How do we know you will not simply become the new dominant species? Commander Tae-min finally spoke from his position in the chamber. Because humanity learned something from watching your civilization. True strength comes not from domination, but from cooperation. We have no interest in ruling over other species. We want to build something better than what currently exists. A galaxy where advancement is measured by wisdom and cooperation, not just technology and conquest, President. Outpost Zethkovar was enormous, a gleaming metal city floating in the darkness of space. Captain Ryu Dong-hyun and his team stared through the windows of the crystalline transport ship as they approached the alien military installation. To anyone watching, they looked like amazed refugees seeing advanced technology for the first time. In reality, they were some of humanity's most skilled intelligence operatives, and they were memorizing every detail of what would become one of the most important military targets in the coming conflict. "Look at the size of that place," whispered engineer Park Kyung-hwan, playing his role as an awestruck miner. "It must house millions of people." "Only about 500,000, Captain Velkoth replied proudly. "But it is one of the most important military installations in this sector. The outpost coordinates defense for over 40 star systems." Dong-hyun filed this information away. Phoenix's intelligence teams would be very interested to learn about the outpost's strategic importance and the scope of its operations. As their ship docked with the outpost, the humans were taken to a processing center where alien officials would decide what to do with them. The facility was designed to handle refugees and visitors from primitive species, with basic accommodations and simple technology that wouldn't confuse or frighten less advanced beings. The aliens had no idea how perfectly this played into humanity's hands. "You will be housed in Section 7, announced the processing officer, a tall crystalline with purple-tinted skin. "It has been modified for species that require oxygen and standard gravity. You will remain there while we arrange transportation back to your home system." "How long will that take?" asked Lieutenant John Sua, sounding worried about being away from home. "Several weeks, perhaps longer," the officer replied dismissively. "Transportation to primitive systems is not a priority. You will be fed and cared for, so there is no need for concern." Several weeks was exactly what Dong-hyun had hoped for. It would give his team time to thoroughly map the station and gather detailed intelligence about alien operations. Section 7 turned out to be a comfortable but simple living area with basic quarters, a common room, and recreational facilities. It was clearly designed for beings the aliens considered inferior. The technology was deliberately simplified, and there were no advanced systems that might confuse primitive minds. Once they were alone, the team could begin their real work. "Sweep for surveillance devices," Dong-hyun ordered quietly. Lieutenant Yang Bo-ram activated a scanner disguised as a broken personal communicator. After a few minutes, she shook her head. "Nothing active in our quarters. They're monitoring the common areas and corridors, but they don't seem worried about what refugees might say in private." This was another sign of alien arrogance. They simply couldn't imagine that primitive refugees might pose any kind of security threat. "Begin Phase 4, Dong-hyun said. "Remember, we're curious but harmless refugees who are grateful for rescue. If anyone asks questions, we're just exploring because we're bored and fascinated by alien technology." Over the next few days, the team began carefully exploring Outpost Zethkovar. They acted like tourists, asking innocent questions and expressing wonder at the advanced technology around them. The alien staff found their curiosity amusing and were happy to show off their superior civilization. Engineer Park Kyung-hwan proved especially effective at gathering technical intelligence. He spent hours talking to alien technicians, asking simple questions about how their systems worked. The aliens enjoyed explaining their advanced technology to someone they saw as a primitive but intelligent student. "This artificial gravity generator is amazing," Park told a crystalline engineer while secretly scanning the device with hidden sensors. How do you make gravity without spinning the station? The engineer was happy to explain the principles of gravitational field manipulation, not realizing he was giving away military secrets to an enemy operative. Park asked follow-up questions that seemed innocent but revealed crucial details about the system's power requirements, failure points, and maintenance procedures. Meanwhile, medic Kim Sora had befriended several alien medical staff. She expressed fascination with their healing technology and asked to observe their procedures. The aliens were pleased to demonstrate their advanced medical capabilities to someone from such a primitive species. Through these educational sessions, Sora learned about alien biology, their medical technology, and most importantly, their weaknesses. She discovered that several species in the Galactic Council had serious health problems that their technology couldn't fully solve. Lieutenant Jian Sua took on the role of the lost refugee who couldn't understand how to use alien technology. She constantly asked for help with simple devices, which gave her access to computer systems throughout the station. Each time an alien helped her with a terminal or data pad, she was actually mapping the station's information networks. Captain Li Jung-soo, disguised as a maintenance worker who volunteered to help with cleaning duties, gained access to restricted areas of the station. The aliens saw him as a harmless primitive who was grateful for rescue and wanted to help his benefactors. They let him work in sensitive areas because they couldn't imagine that a simple human janitor might pose any security risk. The intelligence that flowed back to Phoenix Station was incredible. Dr. Shin Woo-jin, Phoenix's head of xenotechnology research, studied the technical data with growing excitement. Their gravitational manipulation technology is impressive but incredibly inefficient, he reported to the command staff. They use 10 times more energy than our systems to achieve the same results. More importantly, their power distribution networks have serious vulnerabilities. Commander Oh Da-yoon analyzed the political and military intelligence. The station coordinates defense for 40 star systems, but they're struggling with resource shortages and equipment failures. Several of their defensive platforms are operating at reduced capacity due to maintenance issues. Admiral Bae Sun-wook was most interested in the strategic intelligence. What about their military capabilities and response times? Impressive but predictable, Da-eun replied. Their ships are powerful but slow to deploy. Their communication systems are fast but highly centralized. If you can disrupt their command networks, their fleet coordination falls apart quickly. This was exactly the kind of information Phoenix needed for the coming revelation. Understanding alien capabilities and weaknesses would be crucial when humanity finally showed its true strength. Back on Outpost Seth Cover, the infiltration team continued their work. After 2 weeks, they had mapped nearly the entire station and identified its most critical systems. They knew where the command centers were located, how the defensive systems operated, and what would happen if key installations were disabled. Most importantly, they had learned about the broader alien civilization. The Galactic Council is not as united as they pretend, Dong-hyun reported during a quantum transmission to Phoenix. There are serious tensions between different species, and they're facing threats they don't want to admit. What kind of threats? Asked Dr. Lim Yoon-young from Phoenix's Intelligence Center. Unknown species attacking colonies on the galactic rim, Dong-hyun replied. Resource depletion in several core systems, political rebellions on member worlds. They're keeping these problems secret to maintain their image of strength and stability. This was crucial intelligence. If the aliens were already dealing with serious problems, it would affect how they responded to humanity's eventual revelation. There's more, Dong-hyun continued. I've learned about their first contact protocols. Any species that joins the Council essentially becomes a client state. They provide resources and labor while the established species maintain control of advanced technology and political power. So if Earth had been accepted into the Council, humanity would have become slaves, Yoon-young observed. Exactly. The aliens don't see other species as equals. They see them as useful resources to be managed and exploited. This confirmed what Phoenix strategists had always suspected. The Galactic Council was not a federation of equals, but a hierarchy dominated by the oldest and most powerful species. Any human civilization that joined would be expected to submit to alien authority. As the third week began, Captain Velkoth visited the human refugees to check on their status. He found them in the common room, apparently playing simple games and telling stories to pass the time. "How are you adjusting to life on the station?" he asked with condescending kindness. "Very well, thank you," Dong Hyun replied gratefully. "Everyone has been so helpful and patient with us. We've learned so much about advanced civilization just by watching and asking questions." "I am pleased to hear it," Velkoth said. "Perhaps when you return to Earth you can share what you have learned with your fellow humans. It might inspire them to work harder toward advancing their own society." "Oh, we definitely will," Dong Hyun assured him. "This experience has shown us what's possible when a species reaches true advancement. We hope humanity can achieve something like this someday." Velkoth nodded approvingly and left, completely satisfied that these primitive refugees had learned their proper place in the galactic hierarchy. If only he knew that these primitive refugees had just completed the most successful intelligence operation in 6 months had passed since the Galactic Council meeting where the aliens had laughed at humanity. During that time, Phoenix Station had grown even larger and stronger. New ships joined the hidden fleet every week, and the terraforming projects moved ahead faster than ever. But now it was time for the next phase of humanity's plan. Captain Ryu Dong-hyun sat in the cockpit of what looked like a broken and desperate human transport ship. The vessel appeared to be leaking air and losing power, drifting helplessly through space near the edge of known territory. Warning lights flashed red across the control panels, and distress signals broadcast on primitive radio frequencies. Everything was fake. The ship was actually one of Phoenix's most advanced vessels, disguised to look old and simple. The damage was created by holographic projectors, and the crew of 12 was made up of humanity's best special operations soldiers, all trained to act like frightened civilians. Crystalline patrol ships detected on long-range sensors, reported Lieutenant John Sua from her position at the fake navigation console. 3 vessels medium size. They're responding to our distress call. Perfect, Dong-hyun replied quietly. Remember everyone, we're scared miners who got lost trying to find asteroid deposits. Our life support is failing, our engines are broken, and we're desperate for rescue. But don't overact. These aliens are arrogant, but they're not stupid. Crew nodded. They had trained for months to play these roles. Each person had a complete fake background story about being a miner or engineer from Earth's outer colonies. They carried fake identification, fake personal belongings, and fake equipment that looked appropriately primitive. Back at Phoenix Station, Admiral Bae Sun-wook watched the operation from the command center. Banks of screens showed the approaching alien ships, the damaged human vessel, and data streams from dozens of hidden sensors throughout the region. Phase 3 is beginning exactly as planned, reported Dr. Lim Yoon-young, Phoenix's head of intelligence. The crystallines are taking the bait completely. Their ships are slowing down to investigate, and they're broadcasting on standard rescue frequencies. What do we know about their commander? Asked the admiral. Ship records indicate it's Velkoth, Velthar's nephew, Yoon-young replied, reading from her tablet. Young, ambitious, and just as arrogant as his uncle, he sees this as an opportunity to study primitive humans and gain favor with the council. Perfect, Sun-wook thought. Arrogant young aliens made the best targets for deception operations. On the disguised ship, Dong-hyun received an incoming transmission. The alien voice spoke in accented but understandable English. Most advanced species had learned human languages as a curiosity. Unknown human vessel, this is Captain Velkoth of the Crystalline Defense Force. We have received your distress call. Prepare to be taken aboard for emergency assistance. Dong-hyun put panic and relief into his voice as he replied, Thank you. Thank you so much. We thought we were going to die out here. Our oxygen recyclers failed 3 days ago, and we've been rationing air ever since. Maintain your current position, Velkoth ordered. We will dock with your vessel shortly. As the alien ships approached, Lieutenant Yang Bo-ram activated hidden recording devices throughout their fake ship. Every word the aliens spoke, every scan they performed, every piece of technology they used would be captured and analyzed by Phoenix's intelligence teams. The crystalline ship was beautiful in its own alien way, with surfaces that looked like living diamond and energy fields that sparkled around its hull. As it came alongside the human vessel, Dong-hyun could see alien crew members through transparent sections of the ship. "Remember," he whispered to his team, "act grateful but scared. These aliens think they're rescuing primitive refugees. Give them exactly what they expect to see." The docking process was smooth and efficient. Crystalline technology created an energy tunnel between the two ships, allowing the aliens to board without spacesuits. Captain Velkoth entered first, his crystal body glowing with satisfaction and superiority. "Which one of you is the leader?" he asked, looking around at the humans with the same expression someone might use when examining interesting insects. "I am," Dong-hyun said, stepping forward and trying to look smaller and weaker than he really was. "Captain Ryu Dong-hyun of the mining vessel Earth's Hope. Thank you for saving us, honored sir." Velkoth seemed pleased by the respectful tone. "Tell me what happened to your ship." Dong-hyun launched into his prepared story about a failed mining expedition, equipment failures, and getting lost in unfamiliar space. He made sure to include details that would make humans seem incompetent and their technology unreliable. While he talked, other members of his team played their roles perfectly. Engineer Park Kyung-hwan appeared to struggle with a simple alien datapad that Velkoth had handed him, asking basic questions about how it worked. Medic Kim So-ra pretended to be amazed by alien medical scanners, treating them like miraculous technology. What the aliens didn't notice were the tiny actions hidden within these interactions. Each time Park touched an alien device, microscopic transmitters attached themselves to its surface. When So-ra handled the medical scanner, she inserted a nearly invisible data probe that began copying its entire operating system. "Your technology is very primitive," Velkoth observed, not trying to hide his amusement. "These control systems look like something our children would build as toys." "We do our best with what we have," Dong-hyun replied humbly. "Earth's technology has been improving, but slowly. We're still learning how to build better ships and equipment." This was exactly what Velkoth expected to hear. Humans were primitive creatures doing their best with inferior technology and limited understanding. It never occurred to him that the primitive devices around him were actually sophisticated intelligence-gathering tools. "We will take you to Outpost Zethkovar for processing," Velkoth announced. "You will be given temporary quarters while we arrange for your return to Earth. The outpost has facilities that can accommodate your basic needs." "Thank you so much," Dong-hyun said with genuine-sounding gratitude. "We're just grateful to be alive." As the humans were escorted to the crystalline ship, Lieutenant Yang Bo-ram managed to plant a quantum transmitter in the alien vessel's communication array. The device was smaller than a grain of sand and completely undetectable by any technology the aliens possessed. It would allow Phoenix to monitor all communications to and from the ship. Back at Phoenix Station, Dr. Lim Yoon-young smiled as data began flowing in from the infiltration team. "First intelligence packets are coming through," she reported to Admiral Bay. "We're getting complete scans of crystalline ship architecture, weapon systems, and defensive capabilities." "What's your assessment so far?" the Admiral asked. "Their technology is advanced but inefficient," Yoon-young replied, studying the incoming data. "They use brute force methods where we use elegant solutions. Their ships are powerful but slow to adapt to new situations. Most importantly, their security protocols are designed to keep primitives out, not to detect advanced infiltration." This was valuable information. If the crystallines were representative of Galactic Council technology, then Phoenix held significant advantages in speed, efficiency, and adaptability. The fake refugee ship was brought into the crystalline vessel's docking bay, where more aliens waited to examine the primitive humans and their equipment. Dong-hyun's team continued their performance, asking questions that made them seem ignorant, while actually gathering intelligence about alien culture and technology. "Look at this," one crystalline engineer said to another, examining the humans' fake mining equipment. They still use magnetic containment fields for their energy storage. No wonder their ships are so unreliable. Primitive but ingenious in their own way, replied his colleague. They've managed to achieve basic space travel despite their limitations. It's almost admirable. The aliens never suspected that the primitive humans understood every word and were recording everything for later analysis. They spoke freely about their own technology, their military strategies, and even their political opinions, treating the humans like interesting animals that couldn't possibly understand important information. During the journey to Outpost Zethkovar, Captain Ryu and his team had access to nearly every part of the alien ship. Velkoth was proud of his vessel and enjoyed showing off its advanced features to the amazed humans. He demonstrated the gravity manipulation systems, the energy weapons, and the faster-than-light communication array. Each demonstration gave the Phoenix team more intelligence than the aliens had gathered about humanity in decades of observation. Your ship is incredible, Dong-hyun told Velkoth with apparent wonder. Humans dream of building something like this someday. Maybe in 100 years we'll understand how to make artificial gravity. Perhaps, Velkoth replied condescendingly, though it took my people 3,000 years to develop this technology. You should not expect to achieve it quickly. If only he knew, Dong-hyun thought. Phoenix Station had been using superior gravity manipulation for decades, and human ships were faster and more maneuverable than anything in the crystalline fleet. As they approached Outpost Zethkovar, Dong-hyun sent a coded transmission back to Phoenix using a quantum communicator disguised as a primitive emergency beacon. The eye, 200 light-years away from Earth, space looked empty and dark. No stars shone in this region, only a thick cloud of gas and dust that blocked all light. The aliens had scanned this area many times over the years, but their instruments always showed the same thing, nothing but cosmic debris and radiation. They were completely wrong. Captain Cho Min-ho stood on the observation deck of Phoenix Station and watched the morning shift begin. Through the massive windows, he could see the real human civilization that the aliens knew nothing about. 12 giant ring-shaped habitats spun slowly in space, each one as big as a city. Between them, smaller stations and docks floated like islands connected by streams of light. "Daily report, Captain," said Engineer Yoon Hye-jin as she walked up beside him. She carried a tablet showing numbers and charts that would have amazed any alien scientist. All systems running perfectly. Population holding steady at 2,100,000. Production levels exceeded targets again this month. Min-ho smiled as he looked at the data. Phoenix was not just a space station, it was a complete civilization hidden behind technology that made it invisible to everyone else in the galaxy. "How is the cloaking field holding up?" he asked. "Perfect stability," Hye-jin replied. "The quantum field bends space itself around us. Even if an alien ship flew right through this area, their sensors would show empty space. They might even fly through part of our outer ring without knowing it." Min-ho nodded. His brother Tae-min was doing dangerous work as Earth's ambassador, sitting in rooms full of aliens who thought humans were stupid and weak. But here at Phoenix, humanity showed its true strength. Dr. Nam Ki-tae joined them at the window, breathing hard from running. "Sorry I'm late," he said. "Just got the reports from the terraforming project. Planet Phoenix 2 is ahead of schedule. The atmosphere will be ready for human settlement in 18 months instead of 3 years. "How did you speed it up so much?" Min-ho asked. Ki-tae grinned. "We figured out how to use controlled solar flares to heat the planet faster. It's like having a giant oven in space. The aliens think solar engineering is impossible, but we've been doing it for 20 years. Through the window, they could see one of Phoenix's greatest achievements. In the distance, 3 planets orbited a star that humans had moved into the perfect position. The star had been too cold and dim before, but human technology had made it burn brighter and warmer. Now those planets would become new homes for millions of people. "Captain Cho to the docking bay," came a voice over the communication system. "Priority message from Ambassador Taemin." Min-ho hurried through the corridors of Phoenix Station. The hallways were wide and bright, with plants growing on the walls and ceiling. Artificial gravity kept everyone's feet on the floor, but it was so smooth and natural that visitors often forgot they were in space. He passed the industrial section, where machines built with matter compilers created anything humans needed. Raw materials went in one end and finished products came out the other. Ships, computers, weapons, food, medicine, everything could be made from basic atoms using technology that was like magic to most aliens. In the agricultural bays, gardens floated in zero gravity while farmers in special suits tended to plants that grew faster and larger than anything on Earth. The food from these gardens fed 2 million people easily, with enough left over to store for emergencies. The docking bay was huge, with space for hundreds of ships. But these were not the simple chemical rockets that aliens thought humans used. Phoenix's ships moved using gravity manipulation drives that could travel faster than light. They were sleek and beautiful, with hulls that could become invisible at the touch of a button. "Message coming in now, Captain," said Lieutenant Yang Boram from the communications center. She was young but very skilled at using the quantum communication systems that let Phoenix talk instantly across vast distances. Taemin's face appeared on the main screen. He looked tired, but satisfied. "Brother, the meeting went exactly as planned. The aliens are still convinced that Earth represents all of human civilization. They think we're primitive and weak. They decided to wait another 50 years before making official contact." Minho felt relieved. Every year that passed gave Phoenix more time to grow stronger and prepare for the day when humanity would reveal itself to the galaxy. "How much did they reveal about their own capabilities?" Minho asked. "Quite a lot," Taemin replied. "Dr. Park got detailed recordings of their technology discussions. They're definitely advanced, but not nearly as much as they think. Their ships are fast, but not as fast as ours. Their weapons are powerful but use too much energy. Most importantly, they're very arrogant and don't expect any surprises." This was good news. Phoenix had been built specifically to surprise enemies. Who thought they knew everything about human capabilities? "Speaking of surprises," Taemin continued, "is the defense fleet ready for the next phase?" Minho smiled. "Let me show you." He switched the screen to show the space around Phoenix Station. At first it looked empty except for the spinning habitats and docking areas. Then he pressed a button, and suddenly the space filled with ships. Hundreds of sleek warships appeared as if from nowhere. They had been there all along, hidden by the same cloaking technology that concealed the entire Phoenix civilization. Each ship was larger and more advanced than anything in the alien fleets. "Pilot, Kang Soo-bin has been training our fighter squadrons," Minho explained. "They can outfly anything the aliens have. Our ships are faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with weapons that the aliens have never seen before." The ships moved in perfect formation, dancing through space like schools of fish. Their movements were so smooth and precise that they looked like a single organism rather than hundreds of separate vessels. "The aliens think our military technology stopped developing decades ago," Taemin said from the screen. "They have no idea we've been building the most advanced fleet in galactic history." Dr. Nam Ki-tae appeared in the background of the transmission. "Tell him about the new project," he said quietly. Minho hesitated, then decided his brother needed to know. "We're not just building ships and stations anymore, Taemin. We're building new star systems. In 5 years, Phoenix will control 7 stars and 21 planets. We're becoming a galactic empire, and the aliens don't even know we exist." For a moment, Taemin was silent. The scale of what humanity had achieved in secret was almost too big to believe. While the aliens laughed at Earth's simple technology, humans had surpassed every advanced civilization in the galaxy. "How many people know the truth?" Taemin asked. "Here at Phoenix?" "Everyone," Minho replied. "Back on Earth? Only the top government, leaders and scientists. Everyone else really believes that Earth is humanity's only significant presence in space. It makes the deception perfect." "And when do we reveal ourselves?" Minho looked out at the vast civilization spinning in the darkness around him. "When the time is right. When we're strong enough that no alien force can threaten us. When we can demand respect instead of asking for it." "That time may come sooner than you think," Taemin said. The aliens are planning something. I don't know what yet, but they mentioned threats on the galactic rim and resource shortages. They're not as secure and powerful as they pretend to be. This was interesting news. If the aliens were facing problems, it might be the perfect time for humanity to step forward with solutions and demands. Keep gathering intelligence, Minho told his brother. And be careful. If they discover what you really are, Phoenix will lose its greatest advantage. I understand, Taemin replied. Phoenix base out. The screen went dark, leaving Minho alone with his thoughts. Outside the windows, 2 million humans went about their daily lives in the greatest secret in galactic history. They were farmers, and engineers, soldiers and scientists, artists and teachers. They were building a new kind of civilization, one based on human ingenuity and determination. The aliens thought humans were weak because they fought among themselves on Earth. They didn't understand that humans were strongest when they worked together toward a common goal. Phoenix proved that humans could build something amazing when they had a reason to cooperate. Soon, the aliens would learn that they had made a terrible mistake. They had ignored humanity for too long, and now it was too late to stop what was coming. The age of alien supremacy was ending, and the aliens didn't even know it yet. The great chamber stretched out like a crystal cave, its walls glowing with soft blue light. 12 different alien species sat in their special seats, each one made for their strange bodies. Some floated in water tanks, others hung from the ceiling like bats, and a few stood on legs that looked like tree branches. Commander Lee Taemin sat quietly in the corner. His simple gray uniform looked plain next to all the fancy alien clothes and shiny metal skin. He was the only human in the room, and he felt very small. Next to him, Dr. Park So-young held a small tablet, taking notes about everything she saw. Today we talk about the primitive species again, said Velthar. He was made of living crystal that changed colors when he talked. Right now his body glowed angry red. We have many new reports. The other aliens made sounds that meant they agreed. Some clicked, some hummed, and others made noises like water bubbling. Taemin had learned to understand most of these sounds after 3 years as Earth's ambassador. Let us start with the humans, Velthar said. His crystal body now glowed bright yellow, which meant he was happy about something. These creatures are still very funny to watch. The room filled with alien laughter. It sounded like music mixed with the noise of breaking glass. Taemin felt his face get hot, but he kept his expression calm. Dr. Park So-young touched his arm gently to help him stay quiet. Thexara spoke next. She lived in a tank of blue water and had skin like a fish. What new things have they done wrong? She asked. Her voice came through a machine that made water sounds into words. Velthar touched a control, and pictures appeared in the air above them. The images showed Earth cities with their cars and buildings and people walking around. To the aliens, it all looked very simple and old. Look at this, Velthar said, pointing at the pictures. They still burn fossil fuels to make energy. They still fight wars over pieces of land and different ideas about their gods. They have been trying to explore space for hundreds of years, but they only have one small base on their moon. More alien laughter filled the room. One creature that looked like a giant spider spoke up. Do they still use chemical rockets to fly in space? Yes, Velthar said, his crystal body flashing bright with joy. Chemical rockets, like lighting a fire under a metal can and hoping it flies straight. Their fastest ships take months to travel between their own planets. Dr. Park So-young whispered very quietly to Taemin, Are you recording all of this? Taemin nodded slightly. Hidden in his jacket was a tiny device that recorded everything the aliens said. Back on Earth, smart people would study these recordings to learn more about alien technology and plans. Thexara swam closer to her tank's glass wall. What about their military power? She asked. Do they still point metal sticks at each other and make loud noises? Their weapons are still very basic, said another alien who looked like a walking tree. Their strongest bombs use nuclear fusion, which is what our children learn to make in school. Their soldiers wear heavy metal clothes and carry guns that shoot small pieces of metal. How adorable, said a creature that floated like a jellyfish in a bubble of gas. They must feel so strong and dangerous. All the aliens laughed again. Taemin felt angry, but he had trained for years to control his feelings. He knew that getting mad would not help Earth or humanity. Instead, he watched and listened, learning everything he could about these creatures who thought they were so much better than humans. Velthar continued his presentation. Their population in space is tiny. Maybe 10,000 humans live away from their home planet. They have small research stations and mining operations, but nothing important. Their technology cannot even make artificial gravity or faster-than-light communication. What about their society? Asked the spider-like alien. Are they still divided into competing groups? Oh yes, Velthar said happily. They have over 200 different countries on their planet. They speak thousands of different languages. They fight about everything: religion, politics, resources, territory. They cannot agree on simple things like how to measure temperature or what side of the road to drive on. The tree-like alien made a sound like wind in leaves, which meant it was amused. No wonder they cannot build a proper space civilization. They cannot even work together on their own planet. Dr. Park So-young made tiny marks on her tablet, looking like she was just taking simple notes. But really, she was recording important information about how these aliens viewed humanity and what they thought were human weaknesses. So what do we decide about first contact? Asked Thexara. Should we talk to them officially? Velthar's crystal body turned dark blue, which meant he was thinking seriously. I believe we should wait another 50 years, maybe 100 years. They need much more time to grow up as a species. I agree, said the jellyfish creature. They are like children playing with dangerous toys. If we contact them now, they might hurt themselves or others. The spider-like alien clicked its approval. Let them learn to work together first. Let them develop real technology. Let them prove they can live in peace before we invite them to join the galactic community. One by one, all the aliens agreed. Humanity was not ready for first contact. Earth would remain isolated for decades more, watched from far away but not contacted officially. Taemin felt sad and angry, but also relieved. If these aliens knew the truth about humanity, they might see Earth as a threat instead of a joke. It was better to be laughed at than to be feared and attacked. Meeting finished, Velthar announced. We will check on human progress again in 10 years. Maybe by then they will have learned to work together and build better rockets. The aliens began to leave, floating and walking and slithering toward the exits. Their laughter echoed off the crystal walls as they talked about the silly humans and their primitive technology. When the room was almost empty, Taemin finally stood up. His legs felt stiff from sitting still for so long. Dr. Park So-young packed her tablet into a small bag and looked around to make sure no aliens were watching them. Ready to go? She asked quietly. Taemin nodded, but before they left, he touched a tiny button hidden under his collar. The button sent a signal to a small device in his pocket, which then sent a coded message across space using technology the aliens did not know existed. The message was short, but important. Phoenix Base, this is Ambassador 1. They took the AMG bait completely. They think we are still primitive and divided. They decided to wait 50 more years before contact. Initiate Phase 2 of the plan. Far away, in a place the aliens had never found, someone received that message and smiled. The humans had fooled the mighty Galactic Council once again. The aliens thought they were so smart and advanced, but they had no idea what humanity was really capable of. Taemin and Dr. Park So-young walked out of the crystal chamber, looking like disappointed representatives of a backward planet. But inside, they felt proud and excited. The greatest deception in galactic history was working perfectly. As they left the building, Taemin looked up at the alien sky filled with strange stars. Somewhere out there, hidden where no alien could find it, was the real human civilization. It was bigger, stronger, and more advanced than anything these arrogant aliens could imagine. Soon, very soon, it would be time to show them the truth.